Howdy folks, today we're going to talk about how to be creative, because sometimes thinking about things is the hardest thing to do. So when it comes to crocheting and being creative, I'm going to tell you there's a few things you'll want. You'll want a needle, you'll want a hook with a fine tip. I like to use this sometimes like a needle, and a regular hook for yarn. Okay, now the reason we're going to need these different things is because to be creative you need to start thinking outside the box. So you'll think about things like this. This is a piece of felt. I like to crochet and add in different textures. They make a piece so interesting. And so I'll do felt. This is a bag from holding vegetables. These make good scrubbies too. But you could add that in and that would make some neat texture. And you can crochet it in, or you can just leave it open like that and crochet around it. You know, maybe you'll want to cut a little square out of it, or a triangle or a circle or some shape like that, and crochet around it. That would add some creativity. Find different textures of yarn. This one's particularly shoestring-like, so that's a different texture, and things like that will add to your creativity as you figure out how to use that. Really fine yarns make extra texture, adds texture to your project, and varieties of colors will all help you be more creative. I wanted to show you this little piece of work. This is a skirt I made. Most of it is material, and I've crocheted around it kind of like granny squares. And when you do that, you want to make sure that it doesn't gather, and this one does gather a little bit. But if you wash it and lay it out properly, it will be fine. So knowing your fabrics helps a lot. You see I've put whole bands of crochet in and then more material. And this is a really cute skirt that I really enjoy. So having a large variety of colors and textures and imagining how to put them together. This is a little patch of fabric from a scarf video I made, and it's particularly interesting in its texture and color as well. So you can see if you add all these different things together that it really can make for some very interesting end results. So I'm going to show you a little bit here how I would work with this fabric. Now on this one I don't really care that much about the shape, so I'm just going to leave the shape that it is. But you, if you want to, can take a piece of fabric, cut it to the shape that you imagine for your project. And then what I like to do always, and I do this with my skirts and anytime I'm adding in a fabric, I'll do a border all along. And you want to make sure that your border is not too far apart in your stitches, because if you do, it will buckle and that doesn't look as good. Destroy some of that creative flow, if you know what I mean. You just work it through. Now you can see that can take a little bit of time. Another thing that's recommended is just pre-puncture the holes for you. And then when I go in, you see how much easier that went through. Once I get a border all the way around this, I can add whatever texture I want to it, and whatever other sizes of material. So Toki's going to help me because he is a good helping boy, and I'm going to show you. We're going to make this border just a little longer, and then I'm just going to use it as a sample and show you how you can add in different textures and make it that much more interesting. It really is fun once you start looking at some of your options and what you have to work with, and being able to combine all these different things. It makes the whole world a beautiful opportunity to create, and you have no limits. Okay, so now that I've got this little border, I can do more of this size yarn, or I can add a different texture, a different color. I might want a smaller hook actually when I'm working on this, but you know, I think I will get a smaller hook. Let's do that. Alright, so this is a slightly larger hook. It's good for yarn. It's not really meant for this size yarn, but it will fit into these loops quite easily. I like to just start them off with a slip stitch, and then I can add whatever I want to this border that I've now added in. Initially, when changing from one texture to another, you might find it just a little challenging, but if you find the right tools to work with, it's like this one's too small for this yarn, it's too big for that yarn, but it's a good intermediate tool for that combination. And so if I do that, then I can work that transition fairly easily and not fight it so much. Now I know you're probably looking at this thing, oh my goodness, Mama Bee, those colors do not go well together. This is on purpose. You take a look at this, what would you do? Start asking yourself questions. What would look better? What would you do? How would you do different than me? That is where your creativity really kicks in. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. Don't be afraid to say, oh, I hate that color, I'd use green, or oh, that's totally the wrong tones. Use the colors that you would think, the textures, the shapes. Use all of those ingredients in your recipe of creativity. That is how you become creative. Once you picture it in your mind, once you can see it and it looks good in your mind, make it come to life in your hands. That is how you can be creative. Folks, I hope this video has helped you, and I hope that it inspires you. Do something unique. Do something different. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Thank you for sharing them with your friends, and thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. We hope you have a fantastic day.